Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dillon, I'm your host, and today on this episode, I'm going to talk about thinking in terms of decades and not days and not on results. I know this might sound odd, it might sound weird, and it might not be something that you've put a lot of thought into, and frankly, I had neither. But lately, I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and it just makes a lot of sense. I've been thinking about things kind of off, kind of wrong, kind of differently. So I want to talk to you guys about it. And one of the things that came up that I was talking to a buddy about is with their kids. And again, this might sound weird. I don't have kids. I got dogs. But is the things you do today with your kids, right? The process, not only the results, not their test scores, not necessarily an individual moment, even though these individual moments do matter, which we'll get to in a minute, but is the results, right, of how that kid is going to turn out, how they're going to be as an adult, what their life is going to look like. You won't know for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? So when we think of that in terms of like, what do we do today, right? The moments, the experiences, the things that we do to educate, to teach, to improve our kids' lives, or even the relationships that we have around us, you know, our relationships with our wives, our friends, our business partners. If we think in terms of decades, right? Do I want to be with this person in a decade? You kind of got to think about your days differently, don't you? Right? You got to think about how your days are going to look, how you're going to interact with them, the communication levels you're going to have, the things you're going to talk about, the things you're going to do together, because those experiences bind you. The thoughts, the conversations, the communications that you have with each other matter. And so when you think in terms of decades and not days, when you think in terms of the process and progress, but not results, right? Because you can't really control the results. You can't control what other people do, but you can control what you do. You can control the things that you put out, the conversations that you have, how you respond to things. You can control your output. You can't control how people consume, how people view you, all those things. Those are not things that are in your control. So in thinking in terms of decades and not days, thinking in terms of the individual things that I need to do for decades, right? The things that I have to do every day, and not the thing that's going to necessarily get the sale today, right? But the sale that's going to happen in 5 years, that's much bigger. The break, quote unquote, that I'll have in 5 years, right? If I just do these things for 5 years, what's going to happen? And so I came up with a list. When you look at anybody great, when you look at anybody that's done anything for any significant period of time, any people that you look up to, you start to kind of reverse engineer what they've done. And the people that you all look up to, that you all put on a pedestal, that you all admire, they've done a few things. One, in this day of social media and content and all this stuff, they post daily. They put a daily post up. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, they put a daily post up. It's one. Two, they probably do video content. And they do video, they post a thing on YouTube, let's just say once a week. They do some type of video content and they do it very consistently. It could be twice a week for Instagram. It could be they post a daily reel now that's chopped up from a long form piece of content. But they do a video. It could be a TV show, whatever, right? They do video and they do it at least once a week. And they do once a week and they've done it for a decade. The other thing that they do is they write. More than likely they write for an hour a day. between their post for social media, they're writing a book, they're writing paragraphs, they're writing employee manuals, they're writing processes. They're writing probably 1,000 words a day that will stand forever, right? That post will stand forever. Those 300 words on a post. The 400 words that you put in a process manual will stand for a long time. The 500 words that you're going to put into a book or will be part of a book, those will stand for a long time, right? So these things that they do on a daily basis, and they've done them for a very, very long time, right? And then they probably do a podcast once a week, and they've done it for a decade. So if we add this all up, right, a video a day, 1,000 words a day, a static post per day, a podcast a week, and then on top of that, the people that you really, really admire, they're fit, right? So their diet's on point, they exercise, they drink water, and then they probably read, right? They're getting better. So they basically do 75 hard. They put a post on social media every day. They do a video at least once a week. They do a podcast at least once a week. And they've done that for a decade, right? That's my reverse engineering of the things that these people have done for a decade, right? With your kids, it could be sitting down and talking for 30 minutes or reading a book together or doing homework together or whatever it might be, right? If they want to be great at sports, it's spend an hour doing sports, right? That's part of the exercise for 75 hard. So when you really start to break down the success of people is really they've just done the same thing consistently for a long enough period of time for them to have no reason that they should not be great, right? They've had so many reps. It would be unreasonable for them to not be good. Which is an interesting way to think about it, right? You've put in so many reps. You've done it so many times. It would be unreasonable that you would not be good. Because is it reasonable to think on your first day or your 6 months in that you'd be great at engineering or architecture or sales or bending pipe? Most likely not. So we got to think about that, right? We got to think about that we need to be doing the same thing for a long enough period of time to become great at it. And if we could do that, if we can put in the work day after day after day after day until it gets so boring, so repetitive, so part of who we are, wouldn't that be cool, right? It would make us a different person. It would make you a different person if you did the same thing 1,000 days, right? 10 years. And I know those two are not equal, right? 1,000 days is a little over 3 years, or just under 3 years. 5 years, 15, 1,800 days, right? 365 times 5, 1,825. 1,825 days is 5 years. 10 years times 2, so 3,600 days, 365, 0. For a decade, right? 3,650. That's what we're talking about. Can you stack that many in a row? Be pretty cool if you could. It'd be unreasonable that you would not be good at something in that time frame. Right? So, this is what I'm going to leave you with. Think in terms of decades, right? And what I mean by that, what I've thought about around this, is to stick with something for a decade. Think, I'm going to reassess this in 5 years. I'm going to do this thing, and I'll come up for air in 5 years to determine whether the results are where I want them to be or not. It is a much different way of thinking than in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, a year, right? I'm going to stick with this for 5 years, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes, and then we'll make a determination. Very different way of thinking. And I've come to this very recently, that it's in the process, that it's in the daily actions, but repeated over long enough periods of time to make drastic changes. And with that, guys, go ahead, probably re-listen to this. I know it's a big topic. It's heady, and I'm covering it here in 10 minutes. So thank you all for listening to this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. Until next time. Oh, and one last thing, guys. I will be at Autodesk University. This is going to be next week at the time of recording, September 27th through the 29th. So if you're going to be there, you should stop by, say hello. Love to see you guys. Love to meet you. I'm going to be at booth AE 467, California Studios. So stop by, say hello at Autodesk AE 467. See you there. Thanks, guys.